Math Blast 22. I can multiply multi-digit numbers. Solve 23 times 45. Here I'm going to use the area model. 23 would be 20 and 3. So I'm going to put 2 columns in my area model. And 45 is 40 and 5. So I'll put 2 rows in my area model. Now I'm going to find the area of each rectangle, so to speak. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 20 is 100. 40 times 3 is 120. I can think of that as 4 tens times 3. That's 12 tens. 40 times 20 is 4 tens times 2 tens. That's 8 hundreds. Now I'll add all the parts to my product. 115 is 115. 800 and 120 is 920. Add those partial products again here, and we have 1,035. So the product, the answer to my multiplication problem, is 1,035. I can solve word problems involving addition and subtraction of fractions. Jim bought a small bag of dog food. He fed his dog 4/10 of the food on the first day and 3/10 of the food on the second day. What fraction of the dog food is left? Show your thinking using a fraction model or an equation. So I want to really emphasize we're looking for what fraction of the dog food is left. So first, let's figure out how much of the dog food he ate. If he ate 4/10 on day 1 and 3/10 on day 2, then Jim's dog ate 7/10 of the dog food. And so a whole bag of dog food, one whole bag, we can represent as 10/10. In units of tenths, we can represent that as 10/10. And so if 10/10, the whole bag, is what we started with, and the dog ate 7/10, then we are left with 3/10 of the bag. I can apply multiplication of fractions to word problems. A recipe calls for 1/2 cup of sugar. If I plan to use the recipe 4 times today, how much sugar will I use? Check all the equations I could use to solve this problem. Then solve. So again, the recipe is calling for 1/2 cup, and we need to use that 4 times. So we're looking for 4 groups of 1/2. And I can see that here. 4 times 1/2 means 4 groups of 1/2. Now I'm also going to check this one here, 1/2 times 4, because that's the commutative property at work. 4 times 1/2 is going to give me the same thing as 1/2 replicated times 4, 1/2 times 4. All right, and now I have a 1/2 shown, only 3 groups of a half shown here, so we're not going to check that one. 1/2 plus 4 is not the same as taking 1/2 and copying it 4 times, and 1/2 minus 4 is not the same thing either. So the only 2 that we're going to check are the multiplication expressions 1/2 times 4 and 4 times 1/2. Now we can solve that. If I have 4 groups of 1/2, that's the same thing as 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. And we know that 1/2 and 1/2 is 1, and 1/2 and 1/2 again is 1, and we add those together, we get 2 whole. So we need 2 cups of sugar. On the back side, I can express a fraction with denominator 10 as a fraction with denominator 100 and add like units. So express the fraction with denominator 10 as an equivalent fraction with denominator 100. Then add the fractions. So 3/10 is what I want to represent in the model that I'm given. Notice the whole is broken into tenths. I'm going to shade in 3 of those tenths. So this model represents that fraction 3/10. Now, I want to change those tenths into hundredths so that they're like units and I can add in the 4 hundredths to it. I want it to be like units with my 400ths that I'm going to add into that. So I'm going to use a different color here, and I'm going to break each of those tenths into 10 equal parts. Okay, now if I were to count all the boxes, I have 100 in my hole. So we can look at that by this first column was 1/10, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts that I decomposed that tenth into. So now my 3/10 is the same thing as 30 hundredths. And I'm going to add in 400ths. 1, 2, 3, 400ths. And so we end up with a sum of 34 hundredths. I can convert metric measurements, larger units, to smaller units. Write the rule and complete the conversion table. The rule for converting liters to milliliters. Well, I know milli here is going to be 1,000. So liters to milliliters is multiply by 1,000. And I'm going to put that in the top of my table. Liters times 1,000 equals milliliters. And now I can use that rule to fill in the rest of the table. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. 6 times 1,000 is 6,000. 10 times 1,000 is 10,000. And 13 times 1,000 is 13,000. That's all for today, math friends.